Everybody, how's it going? This is Saturday afternoon. We've had such a rainy day here in Mississippi. Been boring in the shop. People don't come out when it's rainy. So I just closed up and I decided to come back here and talk a little bit. I got a glare in here because I've not got my ring lights or anything. It's just in my bedroom. I've never really talked a whole lot to y'all about my weight loss. I'll put up some pictures, some before and after pictures to let you know. I was a plump child when I got to the age where I knew something was really messed up with me and I would get depressed. A child now, getting depressed over being mistreated in school and all those kind of things. I would go home and eat. Both my parents were heavy, not obese, but heavy, plump. And we all sat around and ate big meals, and of course, I would eat more than I should. So I was a plump child. But in my teen years, I dropped all that because I knew I wanted to be a pretty woman whenever I transitioned. I wanted to be slim and attractive. So I lost my weight. But because I had an eating disorder that was never taken care of, I don't see how it could be taken care of. That eating disorder was always there, so when something would happen in my life, then I would eat. But I would try to maintain. I'd gain some weight and I'd lose some weight and gain it, back and forth. But whenever I started taking care of my mother, and I took care of her for 12 years, and she was in a wheelchair and bedbound part of that time. So it was difficult. There were times, no matter how much I loved her, that I felt trapped. And because I was there having to cook, and she always wanted company over, so we were always having dinner parties and things. I ate. We both ate. All this stuff that's bad for you, you know. In Mississippi, a lot of fried chicken and biscuits and gravies and all this bad stuff. All this sweet cakes and cookies and homemade ice cream. So I got heavy. I gained up pretty much. So by the time that I started traveling, I was already 300 pounds. But honey, I just asked for my seatbelt extension and go on. I was still pretty. But, so whenever I married and moved to the Middle East with my husband, I was heavy like that. I didn't have any qualms about it. I didn't like being heavy, but it was what it was, and I tried to deal with it. But when we moved back home, that's when my real life with my now ex-husband started. And I can tell you, within 3 years, I had put on 200 more pounds. I was over 500 pounds. In December of 2007, I had gastric bypass surgery. I'm talking the full bariatric surgery. I almost died from it. It was horrible. So I don't tell people to go out and get that surgery, because I know for me, it was like I had lost my best friend. I mean, the first days of it were the worst, of course, because you can't eat anything solid. And you can't even clean yourself to go to the bathroom. I mean, you can't move. It's awful. And I initially lost a good amount of weight. I lost about 200 pounds. So I was still overweight, 300. And I never could get the rest of it off. And slowly, those eating habits came back. And I put on up to 400 pounds. It was miserable. But honey, when I started going through my divorce, and I didn't have that pressure on me anymore. No matter how much I complained about not wanting to be divorced, it was a good thing for me. And I found keto. My cousin Charlotte Jean, she was working at the bank then, and all the girls in there were doing this new program called keto. So she said, we all going on it, and you are too. So we got all these keto books and bought all this stuff to do keto with. Look at this reflect. That's awful. You can't even see my eyes. But, so I stayed on it. I noticed that the weight was starting to just melt off. I was never hungry. It was hard for me to get adjusted to not eating bread, not eating potatoes and rice, not eating sugar. But when I got those things out of my system and realized that there were so many things with keto that I could eat, things that I loved, things that were comfort food, cheese and eggs and butter and sausage and ham and just anything like that. Lots of vegetables, some fruits. I was never hungry. That was the main thing. When you eat things that's got fat in it, it satisfies you. It stays with you. And the fat gives you the energy. Up until I started on keto, I was walking with a cane. I was having to go get shots in my knees every 3 months so that I could walk. I was falling all the time. It was like, I know that if I don't do something, I'm going to be in a nursing home. And I felt like I was way too young to go to a nursing home. So I stuck with it. I made it become a part of my everyday life. It's like a light bulb went off in my head that this is my answer. This is what I can do, because I still have an eating disorder. I still have times that I'm nervous and upset that I will overeat. I'll do what I call binging. But if you only got keto foods in the house, you can binge on stuff that has low or no carb and not gain the weight. So once I figured that out, then I knew I could stick with this. Of course, I started aging real fast, because when you're so heavy, you're all filled out, nice and pretty. And then when you start aging, all these wrinkles come in, all this kind of stuff that I hate. And I could go start having, nips and tucks and fillers and all that kind of stuff. But at my age and where I live, it's not important. I still know that for a woman that's pushing 70, I look pretty damn good. Everybody says I do, so I'm not going to worry about trying to look like an alien, because that's what most of those girls start looking like once they start doing those procedures. They don't look human anymore. So, y'all, if you need to lose some weight, just check it out, because the doctors that I follow say that keto is a natural human diet, because when our DNA and everything was evolving from, caveman, our bodies were designed for high protein. Because that's what they did. They went out and killed animals and eat the meat. And if during a season they might get some vegetables or fruits that were wild, but that was just only during a certain season. They might find a honeycomb somewhere, and knowing them, they ate it all up and fell out. But they didn't have it on a daily basis. And sugar has been the worst thing that humans have ever come up with, because it is a killer. Cancer feeds from sugar. But of course, the medical people aren't going to tell you that, because cancer makes you have to buy their products. So get off of it. You don't need it. And lay low on those carbs too, because they are a killer, because they turn into sugar. So y'all just read up on it. Get yourselves healthy. Be healthy and happy. Okay. Bye-bye now.